Well, after two races in the 2021 winter edition of the WK's A-Maxx Racing eSports Series, Dean Divdahl and Carmine Caruso each have one win apiece. But it is Divdahl who holds the championship points lead by 12 markers as we hit the halfway point of the season. With storylines aplenty, the series moves to the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, where another opportunity awaits for these drivers to race their way into the TireRack.com Road to Indy iRacing E-Series presented by Cooper Tires. While the championship remains in reach for many, chances to make up ground are growing slim, as we have just two checkered flags left to be taken with prizes and pride on the line. Who will be the one celebrating from Charlotte tonight? This is round 3 of the 2021 World Karting Association's A-Maxx Racing eSports Series, presented by Summit Racing Equipment, and it's coming up live on Apex Racing TV. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval course, where I'm Eric Brennan. I'll be joined on the mic tonight by Marco Barbanera, who's also handling our production duties with Apex Racing, and we are thrilled to bring you what is, in reality, the penultimate round of the championship, third race on the slate of the 4-race season. And Marco, we had one race at Daytona, one race at Mid-Ohio. We're here at another racetrack that has utilized a partial oval, partial road course layout. If Daytona and Mid-Ohio were any indication of what we're going to see tonight, we are going to be in for a thriller.
Absolutely. Hello everyone. Hello Eric. Always a pleasure to be here in the booth with you guys for the for what I think is going to be a fantastic event. The World Karting Association and A-Maxx Racing Esports Winter Series has really been like a second home to me as of late, and so happy to have the series back. And this racetrack, you're absolutely correct. Very treacherous, even for being an infield road course, but it has so many challenges, and of course the high speed section here that we are following with Grant Fogel on the on what is basically the NASCAR traditional oval, and then the chicane, which has been reconfigured recently, and this made it slightly more forgiving, but only just slightly. And then, of course, the run to the second chicane here at the end of the backstretch, which is going to provide for some, I would say, it has provided both in real life and in sim racing for some amazing last lap, overtakes or, attempts at an overtake that not always end, end well.
So this is the third season for the WK's esports platform. In the past, we've run this racetrack because the WK has an incredible relationship with the Charlotte Motor Speedway. In fact, in about a month's time, maybe 2 months' time, in the month of April, it'll be a huge karting weekend event. There's some other events that are happening here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway as well. And for full schedule and details, visit worldkarting.com. But in the past, Marco, we've run the Skip Barber car. Now with the partnership with the Road to Indy iRacing Series, that actually begins tomorrow. We're going to be able to see Dean Divdahl step in the cockpit against competition in which he's hoping to join one day in his racing career. With that partnership, we got the USF 2000 car here. I think, though, the racing may be somewhat similar. We've proven that with the Daytona Mid-Ohio races the last 2 rounds out, but the added incentive for these drivers to win their way into competition against a crop of drivers who are well on their way to stardom, and with this series serving as a foundation of motorsports in all facets, even on the esports side, that's where I think the level of intensity is going to come from in our scheduled events here tonight. Right now, we're watching qualifying. Less than 3 minutes to go, where Eli Warren is currently the fastest car that has set a lap time thus far, and that's with a couple of laps left in the bank. It's either the 20-minute session or 7 laps total. Warren, though, in the pit lane, as we got a car on the wall in the back straightaway, and now spinning around here towards the inner loop. Isaac Beckman remains on the racetrack. However, he has turned 7 laps. Grant Bogle with a mistake while trying to improve on that 8th place lap time, as we are getting set for our heat race to help set the lineup for tonight's racing action. That will be scheduled for 15 minutes or 5 laps total. And again, the event tonight, 35 minutes or 12 laps in total, with a standing start and an expected competition caution in or around the halfway point. And Marco, before we dive into a little bit more as to what we could expect to see tonight and how the racing product is going to pan out, we have a couple of people to thank, and we actually have a prize to give out courtesy of the Bennett family. Each and every week, they offer up $25 by virtue of literally a random draw. And tonight, the winner of that $25 prize is Casey Davis, who is entered in this field, currently 7th on the timing and scoring charts, still on the racetrack, trying to improve on that lap time. But it is Casey Davis who is tonight's winner by virtue of the random draw, courtesy of the $25 cash prize that has been thrown up by the Bennett family for this winter season. So thank you to them. Congratulations, Casey. Hopefully we'll be celebrating more success as the night pans out. That's not all, though. We mentioned 2 winners on the season already. Dean Dibdahl, who is going to be able to take part in the season opener for the TireRack.com Road to Indy iRacing Series presented by Cooper Tires tomorrow on February 3rd. Last week's winner, Carmine Caruso, in the field tonight. He's going to have a chance to be in that series on February 10th for their second race of the season. And the winner of tonight's racing action will be entered into the field on February 17th. And it'll go on from there, where next week's winner will be in the 4th race of the slate, and then the overall champion will have a chance to be in the season finale for that series with the Road to Indy. A great partnership by the WK and Rob Howden for being able to put that together. Also, tonight's winner, if it's a first-time winner, they will get a $55 cash refund, and that is courtesy of RevBranding.com. If you're a repeat winner, which that obviously is only available to Dibdahl and Caruso, it'll be an additional $25 cash on top of that. Again, courtesy of Rev Branding. The entire top 5 getting $25 Summit Racing Equipment gift cards, as they've been a premier partner of the World Karting Association over the last couple of seasons, and you can see why. Now, they are vying for the season championship prize, which is an arrive and drive package with A-Maxx Racing at Newcastle Motorsports Park in a real-life karting event on September 17th through 19th. And that's chassis, team paddock support, no motor included, but that is going to the series champion of this series. And right now, as you look at the championship points lead, Dean Dibdahl holds the championship lead by about 13 markers, or 12 markers, that is, over Carmine Caruso and the reigning champion, Will Salisbury, not that far behind. So, Marco, a lot on the line. Here's the starting lineup for our heat race tonight. Eli Warren set the quick time in qualifying. He's your Sunoco Race Fuels pole sitter, alongside of Isaac Beckman, who is oh so close to getting that top spot. Jared Schwartz, Will Salisbury, row 2, each looking for their first win. Andres Hoyos, Carmine Caruso, row 3. Casey Davis, $25. Richard, thanks to the Bennett family. Inside, I should say, of row 4, with Grant Vogel in 8th. Matthew Novak, Dean Dibdahl, the season opening winner, rounding out your top 10, while Cody Lepiski and Colin O'Miller take you through your first 6 rows. Rest of the field sees Bane Bennett there on the inside of row 7, with James Overbeck outside, Austin Hill and John Vogel to row 8, Doritz Hulla and Nate Lewis, row 9, row 10, Jordan Reiser and Alfonso Perry. Rest of the field sees Austin Olds and Adam Brickley, 21st and 22nd, Hugh Templeman, 23rd and 24th, and an incredibly stacked field of competitors at cars here tonight, with Connor Kelly rounding out our 25-car field for tonight's racing action. With that, we are getting set for the heat race. The lights are out. Warren's going to lead them down for green standing start. It's going to be 15 minutes or 5 laps to set the starting grid. It's going to be Warren and Beckman heading down to turn number 1. Jared Schwartz tries to slide his way through for second. He's going to get the pass made as they funnel their way through turn number 2 and 3 for the first time.
Pretty clean start there as they enter in the infield for the first time. The drivers already almost lotting into single file. A couple of side-by-side battles here as they get ready to enter this very tough section with the right-hander, the uphill right-hander here, this long corner, and then back to the left-hander to go once again on the NASCAR oval.
As they come up off of turn number 8 onto NASCAR turn 1, Eli Warren, who has not had the results that he would have hoped for at this point in the season, but still sits 4th in championship points with a shot at it. 25 points going to go to the winner, so a huge opportunity to make up some ground in the championship here today, and that is what Warren is trying to do. But further back, we got a battle for position happening here. Andres Hoyos, who came into the weekend 6th in the championship standings, battling for position with Grant Vogel, with Carmine Caruso, last week's winner, also in this mix as well. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to make tonight's racing event. Thought he may have had a schedule conflict, but he's happy to be here and trying to work his way up towards the front. He's into the top 5 now as they come to the final chicane to complete lap 1.
Little bit of elbow wrapping as that Eli Warren is in the wall.
Oh no, the race leader has crashed as they turn onto the infield portion of this racetrack, trying to get the car righted without backing up into traffic, and more cars are tangling there towards turn number 1. Warren now backs it up. We're going to crash even more of them here on this short connecting straightaway through turns 1 and 2. A couple of cars locked together. That looks like Matthew Stoner has crashed hard, and that is going to end his heat race potentially with, I believe that was Hugh Templeman. So Jared Schwartz, who the seas have parted ways. He was one of the fastest cars in the season opener at Daytona. Let's see what happened to Warren, who is out in front by himself, getting on the binders here to come through the left-hander. Oh, and he caught the curbing very hard with the left side tires, and that spit him off to the outside retaining wall on driver's right.
Yeah, the curves around this place are absolutely deadly, and unfortunately for Eli Warren, that was that was all for him. I think he's still running around, but of course, as you can see, car is scrubbing mightily, suspension damage, no front wing. He needs to get to the pits as quickly as possible, get a fast repair, and try to get as many positions as he can to have a better chance in what is certainly going to be an uphill battle for him in race 2.
So that's going to give Schwartz the lead, and we talked about how quick he was at the season opener at Daytona. Well, that came with a little bit of a lagging issue there that knocked him out of contention. Was kind enough to stick around and talk to us at the end of that race despite the heartbreak. He's been trying to climb his way up the championship point standings. And how about Isaac Beckman? What an incredible job that he has done here tonight. Was 0.05 of a second off the pole time set by Eli Warren. Survived turn number 1 on the outside, now trying to fend off the reigning champion in this eSports series with the World Karting Association. And Beckman has about a 2-car length advantage, but Salisbury's going to be able to sniff a bit of a draft. And talking about heartbreak, the reigning champion in Salisbury leading most of the laps as he looks inside here on the backstretch chicane to take that second spot away and potentially set his sights on Schwartz, but he gets really loose there coming through the midway sector of that chicane, and Beckman's going to have a chance to pounce. But it was Salisbury who led most of the race at the second round of this 2021 winter season. And as they came down for the restart after the competition caution, the back end of the car got away from him, and then it all just unraveled from there. He nearly got back up into the points, was involved in a last lap crash, now still finds himself third in points. His closest points pursuers are behind him. This is his best opportunity to grab victory for the first time this season and maybe have a shot at winning back-to-back championships, as Schwartz is on on 2 to go.
Andre Hoyos with the fastest lap of the race, 18.78. He just beat Jared Schwartz, fastest lap of the race, who he did like a couple of, let's say, 3 or 4 seconds before. That is the gap between first and fifth. As Eli Warren just now has made its way back to the pits, and is back out with a freshly repaired car, still on the lead lap, but of course, as you can see, 1 minute away, almost a lap down compared to the leaders. Also, we had a little bit of an issue for James Overbeck. As we were watching Salisbury and Bickman go at it, he was right behind them in this group of cars, and I think he has had a little bit of a moment. He got some help, unfortunately, and then thankfully for him, he didn't pitch himself, because that's so easy to do on those curbs.
Yeah, it looks as though the Grant Vogel was unanticipating the point on the racetrack where Overbeck was going to brake and prepare to enter into that corner. Here's a battle further back. This is your points leader, Dean Dibdahl, trying to get a spot on Matthew Novak through the chicane. A tough place to make a pass, but he got the job done as they come to the white flag. That's going to move Dibdahl up to 6th. As we are now working the final lap of this heat race, but he's got about 6 seconds to catch Andres Hoyos, who holds down the 5th spot for the time being, and more fights for position happening here on the back straightaway between Austin Olds and Connor Kelly, who remain on the racetrack, some of the final cars that are still on the lead lap. Jared Schwartz, though, is working his way around the racetrack for the final time in this heat race. He will come up onto the main straightaway, and we told you how Schwartz has not had the results that he would have hoped for, even though he ended up with a goose egg in the points column at Daytona with a 26th place finish. He came back to finish runner-up to Carmine Caruso last week, looking to be 1 spot better here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and right now he's got a comfortable advantage of about 0.8 of a second while this battle for third on back rages on. Onto the banking for the final time through 3 and 4. It looks as though that race for third is going to be the best on track, but Jared Schwartz has smooth sailing to the checkers. Salisbury's going to get up to second, but he's not going to climb up any higher if Schwartz could navigate this final corner, and he will. Heat number 1, the only heat of the night, is going to go to Schwartz, and they crash for third. Hoyos gets destroyed by a spinning Isaac Beckman, and he's doing all he can to limp to the finish line. Dibdall gets one more spot that's going to move him up to 5th. Beckman was able to come across the stripe 4th. Dibdall rounds out your top 5, and Hoyos, with the suspension dragging, was able to come home there in 6th.
You know, we were talking about the final corner. I just, you know, I have very fresh experience of that on Sunday, European Sunday evening. So we had a broadcast here on Apex of the legendary Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors series. They had like 60 starters. Super fair, super respectful drivers all around the grid. In the final lap, the winner was in 4th place at the white flag. So, to tell you, and everything happened here in this place. Like, it's like a magnet for disasters, this final chicane. And here comes Eli Warren, only 18th. He's going to be, you know, tasked with first, avoiding any wrecks at the start. Then try to get as far as up the field as possible, hope for the competition caution, and then work from there.
So what a heartbreaker for Warren as he comes to the checkered flag way down in the running order. Now let's look at the starting lineup for tonight's racing action, and there are your top 2 finishers in the heat race. Jared Schwartz and Will Salisbury, 1 and 2, with last week's winner Carmine Caruso trying to go back-to-back. Beckman alongside. Dibdall, Hoyos, row 3. Novak and Grant Vogel, row 4. Row 5, John Vogel and James Overbeck, your top 10, while it's Bane Bennett and Jordan Reiser, your first 6 rows. Rest of the field sees back in the 13th position Thor Tulla and Austin Hill. In row 7, Austin Olds and Alfonso Perry. Row 8, row number 9, Connor Kelly and Eli Warren. He'll be fun to watch from 18th. Colin O'Miller, 19th. Casey Davis, 20th. Cody Lepiski and Hugh Templeman, row 11. Row 12 is Nate Lewis and Matthew Stoner. And the final car coming to green for tonight's racing action is going to be that of Adam Brickley after misfortune in the heat race. So Schwartz and Salisbury on the ready. We await the lights for our feature event, round 3 of the 2021 WKA eSports Series. It's courtesy of A-Maxx Racing and Summit Racing Equipment. We are underway. 12 laps or 35 minutes, with Schwartz getting the jump from pole. Last week's winner, Caruso, up to 2nd, and we got a crash. Beckman is into the wall, and he's got another car there with him. A few more are going to spin to avoid the carnage in a multi-car pileup in turn 1. Meanwhile, we got a battle for second starting to materialize. Sorry there. It looks like Salisbury and Caruso going to run wheel-to-wheel here as they come through the right-handed corner in this race for 2nd spot.
And I don't know if it's his livery. It looks like a bit of damage, maybe for Salisbury, but maybe it's just the way his livery is painted there at the front. Warren was able to avoid the drama. Is already up to 11th.
Tough break for Isaac Beckman. The other car that was involved was that of John Vogel in the 47, while this race for 2nd starts to fan out double wide. Salisbury defending down low. Grant Vogel there up to 4th. trying to close in with Matthew Novak in the slipstream and Andres Hoyos still 6th, while the point leader in Dibdall lost a couple of spots there in the opening lap. And how about Eli Warren from 18th all the way up to 11th, while this battle for second is going to come up to the chicane as we come through to complete lap 1. And Jared Schwartz is gone. 2.5 seconds is the lead of the point leader coming through the grass as they come through the chicane. The officials are going to have to look at that one because he may have been able to keep up too much pace there. Not sure what happened, but Dibdall is now down into 9th position. A close call and a certain scare for the point leader and Daytona winner, and he's got a problem. He's well off the pace as Dibdall.
He's probably being instructed by the simulator to give away the positions. You have to lift for a certain amount of seconds to not have an unfair advantage, which of course in the first couple of laps with the group so tightly packed, Eric, it's a massive issue.
So Dibdall, the point leader, having problems early. Fortunately for him and the rest of the pack that has struggled in the opening part of this race.
No!
Contact and a huge crash. Caruso and Grant Vogel tangle on the banking, and more cars are going to pile their way in. And trouble for last week's winner in Caruso. Huge damage there to what looks like Novak's car. Hoyos is able to thread his way through, but a heartbreaker for the driver who was second in championship points. Car by Caruso limping his way back to the pit area.
Disaster for Caruso, and now they go as Grant Vogel has to enter the pits, of course, for repairs. In the meantime, here we go! Massive, oh, they're jumping on the curbs, hitting the wall almost. Is James Overbeck? No, it was Eli Warren, I'm sorry. Warren, he is already up to 7th, but he almost crashed there. You see, he was basically flying over those blue curbs in the final chicane.
So hard to keep up with all the action that is taking place early in the going in this one. Eli Warren, by far the biggest mover in the field. He's plus 11 thus far. From his starting position back in 18th up to 7th. He almost had 2 more there till, as you mentioned, Marco, that big mistake in that daunting final chicane. Also, Grant Vogel was involved in an incident with Carmine Caruso. We saw the point leader, Dean Dibdall, go all 4 wheels through the grass. He's back to 10th. So much taking place, but it's all going on behind Jared Schwartz, who is probably the only driver in the field not looking forward to that eventual competition caution, which will allow the reigning champion and Will Salisbury an opportunity to close up, while Andres Hoyos currently rounds out your podium.
Here comes Warren going past Bane Bennett at the chicane. At the same time, Dibdall goes past Alfonso Perry, who I think made a mistake because it was super wide and very slow coming out of the corner. So slow, in fact, that Tortallo also is looking to take advantage of his mistake. Here we go on the final chicane. But Perry is able to repel the attack and keep his top 10 position as we go on the start-finish straight. And look at that, because Warren is already very close to Overbeck with Bennett still in tow.
Warren is on full attack mode. If you were not with us earlier, after qualifying, a heat race is determined to try to help set the lineup for these all-important races. Eli Warren was leading said heat race until he clipped the curbing, entering the first corner of this road course layout at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Rollable, and spun the car. While the rest of the field was waiting to get by, he plummeted down the running order, started back in 18th position, up to 6th, trying to get one more from James Overbeck, a spot that he held momentarily a lap ago, until hitting the curbs on the exit of the chicane. Also, Dean Dibdall, after he ran off the track at the same spot on the racetrack that Warren had his troubles in this race, he too was trying to climb back up the running order. As Warren attempts the outside, he slowed way down to avoid making contact there with Overbeck. It's going to allow Babe Bennett a chance to get by. Potentially, no, he'll slot back in line.
See the drivers cutting a lot of that inside on the caution is out, so the competition caution has been waived by the officials. I was saying, in this chicane you can really cut the left-hander coming out of the chicane on the backstretch. It's basically fair game, so that's why you see a lot of drivers going down below there. As you can see, our leader Jared Schwartz lifting and now waiting to either catch the pace car or be caught by the pace car, depending on what the simulator is telling him on his screen. But yeah, just as we've seen in the past races of this season, the competition caution comes out just a bit before the halfway mark, and let's see, because Beckman is right now 1 lap down. So I think he will have to get the wave around, which I think is usually given Eric, whilst Caruso is still on the lead lap. Same goes for Grant Vogel, he is down to 16th. By the way, let's see if we can find a replay of that crash on the backstretch, which was absolutely was a massive disaster. Maybe it's this one, let's see. No, it's not this, of course. I apologize. So difficult to find out, you know, because there is so much that happened. So unfortunately, I don't think we can get a replay of that. But yeah, that was a big hit on the backstretch between Vogel and Caruso. And Also, then I think Grant Vogel had an issue coming out of the pits. Let's see what happened. That made him lose even more time.
Oh yeah, he got on the power a little bit too hard, perhaps a little bit too overzealous to try to exit the pit area. And Marco, we completely understand as far as trying to go back and rewind the tape and find all that has happened, because to put it lightly, a lot has happened. And I want to send my best wishes to our race director, Eric Graham, because he has been busy the last, let's say, the last about 7.5 minutes plus or so, trying to comb his way through the number of incidents that have taken place. And there's been a lot, but fortunately none have plagued this driver, and Jarrett Schwartz, who is the race leader over the reigning champion Will Salisbury. They run 1 and 2 here at the point of the competition caution. The problem is the lead that he had that was up to over 2.5 seconds is now gone, and Salisbury's going to be in the slipstream. So, and the interesting storyline to follow, Marco, is the fact that the top two are really trying to get the one that got away in the first 2 races of the season. You know, and that's not to take anything away from Dean Dibdahl, who won Daytona, and also to Carmine Caruso, who won Mid-Ohio. Both of those drivers showed the pace and the speed, but it was problems to both Schwartz and Salisbury while running up towards the front of the pack in each of those respective races that opened the door of opportunity once they were removed from contention. And that's how Dibdahl and Caruso ended up eventually finding victory lane. So a redemption story is on the docket for the front two right now, and they're heavily motivated. And we thought it was going to be a great day for Isaac Beckman after qualifying second, finishing third in his heat race. And it looks as though the curbing in turn number 1 is what got him at the start of this race. He ended up going around. A very close call for Dibdahl, the point leader that time, as he came through there. And that is what set Beckman behind the 8 ball. He currently runs back in the 21st position.
Something must have happened, because I see Lewis missing important bits of his car.
Lewis looks as though he has some rear wing damage on that car. Not sure. This looks like it happened under caution. So there's Lewis currently pacing the field. Oh, that just looked like Lewis may not have anticipated the stack up there by traffic, and unfortunately he got into the back of what looked like Hugh Templeton, and then somebody got into the back of Lewis there to cause all that damage.
It was Grant Vogel.
So Vogel, somebody who's had a lot of speed and pace so far in the 3 races we've run, including tonight, now finds himself perhaps having to make another pit stop if time will allow, because there's got to be some damage to that machine after ripping Nate Lewis's rear wing off.
We are having an issue right now, because I think Caruso has been given the wave around, but he was already on the lead lap, and so now he's getting away from the pack. But as you can see, he is scored in first place, unless we have an issue with timing and scoring, which, you know, is not outside of the realm of possibilities. But as you can see, the drivers that are taking the wave around, Kelly, John Vogel, and together with them there is Caruso, who shouldn't be there. So a bit of an odd situation here. Let's see if it gets solved, because this would otherwise make for a very messy restart. And of course, having a car 1 lap in front of everyone else is also not very easy to keep up with the scoring, etc. So let's see what happens.
Also having to notice on the live timing that Jarrett Schwartz may have blipped off the radar momentarily. Looks as though he's reappeared now, according to our scene. There he is, behind the pace car, and that was a bit of a scare there, because remember, that's what happened to him at Daytona after being the fastest qualifier there and taking top honors with the Sunoco Race Fuels Quick Time Award there at that point of the racetrack. But Caruso is, in fact, rejoining the track, and it looks as though they're trying to direct Caruso perhaps to the pit area to fall to the tail end of the pack and not overtake the tail end of the line here. And unfortunately, this is a bit of a head scratcher for us to be able to see. We do know that Schwartz is in fact the leader. Salisbury is in fact second. Hoyos is in fact your podium for the time being. We knew that Caruso was involved in that crash right here, as a matter of fact, off of turn number 2 on the banking with Grant Vogel that put him behind the 8 ball, but we believe he was not necessarily a lap down. So We'll try to give this an opportunity to get sorted out, with Schwartz still holding down the lead at the head of the field. And we could expect a restart here relatively soon. Not sure if it's going to come this time by, perhaps, but Schwartz is still out front. It looks as though the lights are still on the Porsche pace car, so we're going to be going around at least one more lap. So this is going to set up a bit of a shootout and total sprint to the checkered flag. This extra lap of caution allows us an opportunity to remind those of you who may be watching, whether it be on the World Karting Association social media platforms, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, or on Apex Racing TV's platforms as well, that these drivers are with the World Karting Association, all World Karting Association members and participants. And if you don't know, the pretty much the slogan for the WK is the foundation of motorsports. The reality is a lot of the drivers you see in today's top and upper echelons of racing, whether it be NASCAR, IndyCar, or Formula One, began their career in some form of karting. And the World Karting Association has multiple facets of that, whether it be their road race series that competes on this very Charlotte Roval annually, or the road course Daytona International Speedway, Manufacturers Cup, which runs sprint-style circuits on your traditional kart racing layouts. They also have a dirt series, which has become incredibly popularized over the last couple of years. In fact, they've added an entire dirt series around it. All the information you need is at worldkarting.com, and it's not just for the youngsters. Hugh Templeman is in this field. He's one of the masters in this series, and that's what's so great about this esports competition, is it blends all facets of the karting world together. And we put on this show here to kind of serve as a bit of Novocaine for us not being at the racetrack as they were last December, with the next big event slated for the month of April. There are some other events that are trickled in. Again, all the information you need and full schedules and details is at worldkarting.com. But a new partnership with, as you see on the top right-hand side of your screen, the Road to Indy iRacing E-Series presented by Cooper Tires. That's one of the incentives that is on the line for these drivers. Whoever wins here tonight will be competing in the third race of that series on February 17th. We've already punched tickets for Dib Dahl and for Carmine Caruso. Somebody else is going to try to add their name to that list to be able to compete with drivers who are in the next step, I would say, in that racing ladder. And Rob Howden had a lot to do with this correlation, along with the WKA president, Kevin Williams, Mike Tetrault as well, and Megan Oles has done a lot to try to get this series to where it is, where it's fun, it's exciting, there's a lot of support, a lot of partners, from Rev Branding, Sunoco Race Fuels, Summit Racing Equipment, the Bennett family, the list goes on, and of course A-Maxx Racing, who threw up the championship prize, which is an arrive and drive package to translate your success in this iRacing platform to a real-life event at Newcastle Motorsports Park in September. As a matter of fact, the inaugural esports champion Byron Daly had an opportunity to reap the rewards of his success last season as he ran for A-Maxx Racing at Daytona last December. So there's a lot to race for, a lot on the line, a lot of reasoning behind some of the chaos that we've seen in some cases, but the racing has been incredible. And myself, Eric Brennan, and Marco Barbonera are going to be bringing you the final few laps of the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval to see who is going to win race 3 of 4 with Jared Schwartz and Will Salisbury. Your top two. Timing and scoring is going to update once Carmine Caruso has given way to the leaders. It is Schwartz and Salisbury, 1 and 2. Andres Hoyos holding down your podium spot as we are back underway and heading up for turn number 3 on the infield portion of this racetrack. And just as he did from pole to kick off this race, Jared Schwartz gets an incredible jump.
Great jump from him. Let's see where Caruso is right now, because he's still going full speed into... probably they will have to do some manual calculations after the race. But the problem is, Eric, is that the white flag will be calculated based on where Caruso is. So we don't know when it's going to come out. Certainly it won't care about Schwartz's position. So because the lap counter will go over when Caruso crosses the line. So let's keep that in mind. This will make for a bit of a weird but exciting nonetheless finish.
Well, we'll see how it all pans out. And after building up the lead of nearly 2 seconds in the infield portion, Will Salisbury is back in the slipstream of Jared Schwartz. They come through this chicane here. Oh, look at Salisbury there, flirting with the brakes there a little bit later. It was noticeable how much he closed up on Schwartz, and it didn't really impact him off the corner. And he is now starting to reel in Schwartz. If he can hang with him, Marco, through this sector of the racetrack, I think he's going to be looking for an opportunity to draft up on and perhaps pass Schwartz when they get up to NASCAR turn number 1. But he's got to keep pace with Schwartz through this infield portion of the track, and that's where Schwartz has been so superior here tonight.
Absolutely, and you know, the draft is so important, so he needs to stay there. But of course, I think that Jared Schwartz has other plans in mind as they go once again onto the oval proper. Gap is 9/10 of a second, as you can see on the bottom right. Ignore the top left gap. I mean, the top left gap is real, but of course the one on the right is a bit more detailed, as they had once again. So remember, when they cross the start-finish line, they will start their 11th lap. So we still have 2 laps to go after this.
Yeah, I want to remind all of our viewers that the car that you see on the top left of the timing and scoring pylon, Carmine Caruso, last week's winner, caught up in a crash earlier in tonight's race. Took the wave around, even though that car was not necessarily 1 lap down, so he is not the leader. This car is. Jared Schwartz trying to match the car number tonight. He's got 2 laps to go, with Will Salisbury trying to close, and Schwartz has been able to answer by turning the fastest lap of this race with 2 laps to go, and Salisbury trying to reel him in. And we do see that Caruso has hit the pit lane, so this may allow timing and scoring to cycle through once they come around for this white flag. Now, the leaders are coming up the back straightaway that heads up to turn 5. I should say the infield back straightaway that comes through a pair of right-handers. Now a left-hander through turn 6 and another left-hander through turn 7. I should say turn 8. And looks as though, not sure if that's a glitch of the system, I thought I saw a little bit of wing damage there on Schwartz's car. So we have a crash. That's Novak. Matthew Novak was involved in an incident while running up towards the top 10 portion of this running order. So he is off the racetrack. Here comes Salisbury trying to close up on Schwartz, and we are going to be preparing for the white flag. Wow, Salisbury really closed up there under braking. Can he hold it, though, as they come out of the bus stop on the backstretch?
So Caruso is still sitting there, I think, serving a very long penalty to set the timing and scoring the correct way. And now the real white flag comes out for our 2 leaders. 1 lap to go.
1 lap to go, presented by Summit Racing Equipment. And right now we are looking at the potential of our 3rd different winner in the 3 races so far in 2021. Jared Schwartz trying to get the one that got away at Daytona. Will Salisbury trying to get the one that got away at Mid-Ohio. And right now, Salisbury is as close as he's been at this point on the racetrack, looking for a shot once we hit the back straightaway as we approach the banking in just a few more corners.
He was sliding there through the right-hander, now onto the left-hander, still sliding a bit. He's really trying to give everything he has. 6/10, he needs a bit more to get close to Schwartz at the chicane.
Andres Hoyos 2.8 seconds back. If something crazy would happen with these top 2, we saw Salisbury send it at this part of the racetrack a lap ago. He does it again. Can he get close enough to get a drive off the corner? Schwartz is going to pull him on the exit as they come out of the banking for the final time at 3 and 4. It's going to take one more diving effort by Salisbury to try to get the pass made and the job done while the field heads for home to the final chicane. Schwartz trying to hold the lead. Salisbury closes up to the back wing, but it's not going to be enough. Jared Schwartz finally goes to victory lane in the WKA's A-Maxx Racing eSports Series presented by Summit Racing Equipment. While the point leader, Dean Dibdahl, tries to get another spot at the line, he will settle for 7th.
Great
rest
finish.
of the field comes to the line. Sorry, Marco, you go ahead there, buddy. As we come, the rest of the field is coming to the stripe.
No worries, no, great finish, fair driving from both of them. Here comes the final few cars on the lead lap, an update on Carmine Caruso. And he's sitting in 19th position. Big, you know, thumbs up to Eli Warren, gaining 14 spots. As Bane Bennett goes for a little bit of a ride in the grass, but here is our winner, enjoying his parade lap. Jared Schwartz, congratulations. We are waiting on a couple of cars. Only one, to be fair. It's Colin Miller. And here he comes home safe and sound. Ah no, we also have Matthew Novak, who's running around without a rear wing and with the engine cover bouncing very, very dangerously on the back end of his car, but he's able to make it home as well in 21st position. So a lot of wounded cars, great fun. And now we have the race results on your screen. There we go.
Well, Jared Schwartz starts to burn it down on the front stretch at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You see there, final margin of victory, over 0.3 of a second. Jared Schwartz, the winner over Will Salisbury and Andres Hoyos, all drivers who were vying for their first win of the season. Schwartz gets the job done, and we'll have a chance to talk with him in just a few moments. Will Salisbury, good points day, finished ahead of his closest pursuers in the championship standings with that runner-up finish with one race still to go, and Andres Hoyos may have been able to crack the top 5. We'll check the math in the coming days as he was 6th in the points coming into tonight. To round out your podium did Hoyos. Eli Warren, 18th on the grid to 4th. What an incredible drive for that driver to be able to salvage the top 5. And Bane Bennett didn't call his name much throughout the day, and in a race as hectic as this, that is a very good thing. Top 5 finish for Bane Bennett, a very strong finish for that driver who has not had the results that he would have hoped for. As a matter of fact, first top 10, first top 5 in this race here tonight for this Winter Series for Bennett. Overbeck, the point leader Dibdahl, Lipsky, Reiser, and Davis, your top 10. Dibdahl noting that 7th place finish, being able to avoid the carnage. That's a great night for the championship point leader, especially considering Caruso's troubles. That may be a championship-winning effort, even though it's not the best result he's had this season. Austin Olds, let's check that. Austin Hill came home 11th. Austin Olds was 12th, so 2 Austins there, just missing out on the top 10. Alfonso Perry in the 13th spot. Isaac Beckman, outside pole sitter after the heartbreak turn 1, lap 1, 14th. And Nate Lewis takes you to 15th. John Vogel, Hugh Templeman, 16th and 17th, respectively. Connor Kelly and Carmine Caruso, 18th and 19th. Boy, Caruso, what an up-and-down day for him after the hard crash off turn 2. And then the wave-around issue, unofficially 19th in the standings. Colin O'Miller, your top 20. Matthew Novak limped it home. Final car on the lead lap in 21st. First car 1 lap down. Thortella in 22nd. Matthew Stoner also 1 lap down, 23rd. Grant Vogel 24th. And Adam Brickley, who was one of the first retirees in this race. As a matter of fact, I don't believe Brickley made the green flag. So a wild race. I understand that, again, a reminder that some of these results are still under review by officials, as they may have to go back over some of the footage and comb through some of what took place here tonight. But the good news is we do have a couple of drivers waiting in the wings that we could speak with after their successes here tonight. And one of them we've had a chance to talk to a couple of times already this season, but never has it been under such positive of circumstances. And we're talking about our race winner tonight in Jared Schwartz, who is in the interview waiting room. We'll have a chance to talk to Jared after he's told us before the interesting story as to how he entered this series, and we'll see what Jared has to say now that he has finally had the opportunity to capture victory here tonight. So with that, we would like to welcome to the broadcast booth, Jared Schwartz. 3rd time we've had a chance to talk to you, but the first time we are talking to you as a race winner, this one coming at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The one that got away finally came back to you. How does it feel to capture victory tonight?
Oh, it feels good. I mean, there was definitely some fast guys that were contenders, and in the heat race, Eli spun in front of me, and I was able to capitalize on winning the heat race, and that helped out a ton as far as the feature race starting on pole. So it worked out great and feels good.
So, incredible drive by you. I mean, the pace was there all night. Pretty much the pace has been there all season. And also, you know, we tip our cap to a couple of guys who can hang out a little bit later and have a conversation even when things don't go well. But even with some of that, even with the runner-up finish last week, and now with the success here tonight, you know, the pace was there all night long. One of the fastest cars in the field. But this track was tough, and at times it was physical. I mean, were you aware of how hectic things were around you, or were you just kind of focused on what was going on ahead of you? And for the most part, that was just clear racetrack.
For the most part, I knew it was going to be pretty hectic. I mean, just one little mistake could take you out. And it was basically just a mind game of being consistent and not touching walls and stuff. And I actually did a couple of times, and I got lucky and got away with it. So, but we're happy with the results, and we put in some extra work and practice for this race because we knew it was going to be intense. So that's what it took.
Now, even though we don't know how the final running order is going to shape out, this victory, though, does give you an opportunity to now enter the Road to Indy E-Series presented by Cooper Tires, the TireRack.com Road to Indy E-Series, I should say, on February 17th. What does your schedule look like? And if you're free, are you looking forward to that event with some competition and some names that you very well may have raced against before or watch on TV or are part of a system of motorsports that, is truly in a bit of a spotlight, just like the karting series is?
Oh, no, we'll definitely be there. I'll definitely make time for it, put in some practice for it. So definitely looking forward to it.
And now Marco Barbonero, who joins me on the call for these races. Marco, we've talked about Jared Schwartz a lot this season. First time to get to talk to him as a winner. And I think the two of us were impressed with the pace he's shown all season long and finally has a chance to celebrate that victory. Anything we have for our winner tonight?
Well, first of all, congratulations. And second, I wanted to ask you about what you did to keep Will away from you in the final couple of. We have seen in this place it's so easy to get the draft and then go for an overtake, but you were able to, in the final laps, you were able to be pretty comfortable. Will never really came close to you, no? To try and make a move.
Thank you for the congratulations. And like I said earlier, the biggest thing is running your own race here. If you start worrying about what other people are or where they're at, you're gonna make mistakes. And that's ultimately what it comes down to here. I mean, obviously you got to have the pace, but the mistakes is the big one. You cannot make.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Jared. Congratulations. Enjoy your time in the Road to Indy series when that will come, and he'll send you back to Eric.
Well, Jared, we just want to wish you the best of luck in the season finale next week at Indianapolis. Opportunity, probably once the math is all said and done, to win your way into some more of those events. Championship still within reach, and you've been up front all race long, so we'll put you down as one of the favorites coming into our final race in Indianapolis in 1 week's time. Congratulations on finally grabbing that victory, man.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, guys.
And again, that is Jared Schwartz, who finally is on the top step of the podium after one of these WK A-Maxx Racing eSports Series events. And that came here at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Now, we also have waiting in the wings our second place finisher here tonight, who was third in championship points. Believe it or not, it is his second runner-up finish in the first 3 races of this championship. And that is Will Salisbury, who is going to be joining us here to talk about his second place finish. We mentioned a bit of a comeback story for Jared Schwartz. It was the same, however, for Will Salisbury. After the bad luck at Mid-Ohio, while leading the most laps in that event, he comes back here to Charlotte and has a second place finish to celebrate en route to our season finale. Will, welcome to the broadcast booth with us. First of all, I know second is never fun, but considering the fact that you were the highest running finisher of your championship combatants, I think we've increased the odds of maybe going back-to-back here in eSports Championships. Are you satisfied with second place given the circumstances, or do you really want to grab a win before this season's out?
Thanks, Eric. I told you last week, I think it's going to be a repeat of last season. I'm just going to get second place the whole time and just be Mr. Consistency. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. No, I'm more than happy with that. I was talking to Jarrett the whole race. We did a lot of preparation for this one. Me and him, we did a lot of testing sessions, and we were both, on par and pace. And in fact, in the last day or so, he picked up a couple tenths from me and was just able to stretch out a little bit. And so once I got behind him, I was perfectly happy just to ride there and bring it home in the top 2, because that's really what I needed after last season to just prove that sometimes you want to take it race by race and you want to have it be consistent, but you also got to think bigger picture at times, and right now that's where my mind's at, is just bigger picture. Minimize the loss from last week, carry that into a good result this week, and take it a little gap into Indy for the last one and see where we're at. So I wasn't quite expecting the how quickly the end of the race came up, to be honest with you. It seemed like I was just getting in a rhythm there, and Jared had a little incident and was going to start pressuring him, and suddenly it was the last lap. So I just kind of backed off and was waiting in case anything big happened, but I'm more than happy coming home in second place.
Now, and you mentioned the end of the race, and it was something that Marco and I both noticed. You appeared to be, I don't know if it was a combination of Jarrett maybe taking it easy there in the latter stages, or you just turning up the heat. When we got to the braking zones on the backstretch and front straightaway chicane, you made up a ton of ground. Is that something that you were doing all race long, or were you just kind of trying to find that limit a little bit further each and every lap?
Yeah, I mean, I was taking it easy for most of the race because I knew where my pace was at and I knew where his pace was at. And he's always been able to pull me coming out of those chicanes, especially in the backstretch. Whereas I carry a lot of speed going into it. And it's just something that I worked on and wasn't able to quite get to where he was at. However, I don't know if it showed up in the broadcast, but he had a little moment coming onto the oval from the infield section where he hit the wall. And on my screen, he damn near destroyed the whole car. I mean, the rear wing fell off, the right rear wheel fell off, and I'm expecting him to go spinning through the infield. And suddenly, it's just one of those iRacing things where he kept going. But he was telling me that his wheel was off center and he, bent some tie rods. So that was, I think, the second to the last lap. So once that happened, I was ready to pounce, but I didn't want to, throw it away. I told him, I'm like, and unless you're going to give it to me or if it's obvious, I'm not going to put the car in anywhere that's, going to be something crazy. So that's where we kind of had that little speed in those last couple laps. Had it been another lap or two, I think I would have been able to get him because he was definitely nursing that thing, just trying to bring it home. And, he sent it, and hats off to him. It's good to see him finally pick up a win and right behind him. So I'm happy with the result.
It's interesting you bring that up. I remember on the broadcast, I did notice that a little bit of an abnormality in that rear wing, and it seemed to right itself or go away at one point. But bizarre circumstances, to say the least. 3 races and 3 different winners. Unfortunately, you're not one of them yet. What's your biggest objective heading into the season finale? Is it to be that 4th different winner, or are you going to be strictly awaiting patiently for the updated championship standings to see how close you could be as far as the opportunity to go back-to-back in this eSports championship with the World Karting Association?
Well, I hadn't actually looked at the point standings until about until my right as qualifying ended. I pulled it up on my phone and started taking a look, and I realized that we got a shot at this thing. And with some bad luck from some other guys today, we really have a shot at this thing. So, my chances are just going to be as good as anyone's coming into the last round, and I'm going to prepare for it the same way that I did this one, is just, get some good practice in, get quick laps, and try and go out there and have the best result I can. If it's a win, that'd be great. I'd like to cap it off how I capped off last year. But if we can't do that, then, just a top 5, top 3 would be great. And looking at the bigger picture, it's one of those things where I kind of watch your broadcasts, and you guys do an excellent job. You always mention the guy who won the series from the past season. You don't quite mention some of the race winners all the time. So, I want to be that guy that you're mentioning from the back-to-back championships. That'd be pretty swell. But we'll see what it brings and see how I can bring it home and how this thing unfolds.
It's a great point. While we don't know how long this E-Series trend will go with the WK, you would go down as the first ever back-to-back champion if you could accomplish such a feat when all said and done next week in Indianapolis. Marco Barbonero, we've talked to Will so many times over the last few seasons. Fortunately, this is on much better circumstances than 1 week ago. Before we send Will off to celebrate a runner-up finish, start preparing for Indy, do you have anything for our second-place finisher here tonight?
Yeah, first of all, great comeback, Will, and how will you approach... what are your thoughts about the track where we're going to race Indianapolis, the final round of the season? Do you like it? Do you think it's a track that suits you very, very well?
I haven't, I'll be honest with you, I haven't run that track since last season when we were running it in the Skippies, so certainly I'm going to be putting in some practice laps this week. I've definitely prepared with these last couple weeks more than I ever have running official sessions, and I had a couple sessions with some, Formula 2 drivers and some world-class international pro drivers in this car to kind of see where I'm at realistically and what I can do to improve and how I can be comfortable. But, Indy's going to be a lot like Daytona is. It's such long straightaways. It's really going to come down to a photo finish, I believe, again. And hopefully we're on the right side of that. I know these guys are not going to give up, and just as I'm not going to give up, and the pressure is always going to be on. But hopefully we can have a good result and come home with a victory. It'd be a great way to cap off the season.
Perfect. Congratulations once again, and back to Eric.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. I do want to say also, we tipped our cap to Jared Schwartz for sticking around and talking to us after his bad luck at Daytona. Want to acknowledge you did the same thing for us last week at Mid-Ohio. We are much happy that we're talking to you under much better circumstances here tonight. Hopefully that trend will continue on into next week. We hope to be talking to you then again as well. Congrats on the second place finish tonight, Will.
Thanks, guys. As always, appreciate it.
And again, that is Will Salisbury, who, as he mentioned, will be vying for perhaps his second eSports championship back-to-back under the WKA banner, that is. Depending on how things shake out when we get to Indianapolis in 1 week's time here on Apex Racing TV. Now, Marco, I do see one other individual waiting in the interview waiting room, and the trend here has been sportsmanship. Guys who show up, have a conversation, even when the night doesn't go the way that they planned. I would like to get Carmine Caruso in here because he's been an incredible interview the last couple of weeks. I do see him waiting there to talk to us. He was second in points, winner last week at Mid-Ohio. We're going to bring Carmine Caruso in here real quick and just kind of talk to him about how his night unfolded after a high-speed incident. And we'll just have a chance here to catch up with him before we go off air here and see what happened. Carmine, I know that this is not the same way in which we got to catch up last week. However, you did try to battle back from some adversity. Not the night you were hoping for, but overall, what are your thoughts after, coming back to some capacity, still being in the fight, considering some of the points contenders around you also had bad luck tonight as we approach Indianapolis next week? How are you feeling after the, I'll call it, turbulent evening that you had on the racetrack?
No, definitely. Honestly, I'm just gutted because this is now this is the third time that I was messed up by the iRacing software. Last season at Charlotte cost me a championship, or a potential championship, I should say, and twice last year at Charlotte, and now this time again at Charlotte. It seems to be a repeating occurrence, and honestly, I'm just gutted because we had so many great people to come on the car for tonight, Excelsior Awards and Pro Shop, and all my friends and family just back home, just hoping to see my name on the podium, and for something like this to have happened, it's honestly, it's gutting.
Well, we appreciate you sticking around to talk to us about it, because coming into the night, you were second in points. That was despite some misfortune at Daytona when you were running well there as well. Here tonight, top three pace, no doubt, throughout the evening before the crash off of turn 2. Now, granted, we only had one look at that, so we really didn't get to see how exactly that unfolded. From your perspective, what happened? That's not a place where we normally see contact on this Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval layout.
No, definitely. I think the 4-car and I think there was a little bit of lag there due to the software. Nothing's ever perfect. So I do in fact believe that there was a little bit of lag there, but we were both chasing up the track, and the 4-car having the draft, and me being a sitting duck, already having some aero damage. It just leads to unfortunately what ended up happening. Nothing really I could say about that, though. Just bad luck happens, and sometimes it's at the worst time, because Will and I, we were trying to catch up to Jarrett, and it just stinks that the race ended just like that.
Well, we appreciate you sticking around. It certainly doesn't go unnoticed by everybody who will be watching, because that is a facet of this sport, is being able to handle the bad days as well. And silver lining, by virtue of your win last week, not only can you prepare for the season finale that's going to take place in 1 week's time at Indy, but you've also got a race to prepare for the following day, that Wednesday, the TireRack.com Road to Indy E-Series. How excited are you about that? As it starts to draw a little bit closer, I know that it's going to be in about 2 weeks and a day from your victory to when you're able to celebrate that by going up against that level of competition. But how much are you looking forward to that additional incentive that's up for grabs in this eSports series?
I'm gonna be honest. I actually haven't even begun to think about that. I actually haven't even begun testing because my mind's solely been on, school, bowling, and the WKA eSports series. I actually haven't even begun testing for it yet. So definitely within the next week, I'm gonna be grinding out a lot of testing at Indy, and I have to look to see where the second round is. But you better believe it. I will definitely be out there getting ready to go for that one.
And we will certainly be watching. Now, Marco, before we send Carmine off to, hopefully transition from this rough night into better things before the evening comes to a close, anything you have for the driver who's already been one of the 3 winners on this season so far in Carmine Caruso?
No, keep his head up because he was very unlucky today, and I think that he could have had a much better result given the pace he had, and unfortunately the mistake with the wave around really punished him because then he had to give away the positions, and then he had no time to gain them back because it was so close to the end of the race. So I'm very gutted for him, but I think he will come back even stronger in Indianapolis. I hope that's true, Carmine, no?
No, definitely. Coming back stronger and better is probably it's one of my stronger suits. I definitely look forward to going to Indianapolis. Last time, it was definitely interesting last time in Skip Barber, but no doubt we will be hopefully one of the names to beat next time out at Indy.
Awesome, Eric.
Thanks, Marco. Carmine, we will be counting on it, man. Thank you so much for sticking around and talking to us. We really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing how Indy goes for you in 1 week's time.
All right, thank you, guys.
And that's Carmine Caruso. Again, even though it wasn't the best of days. And Marco, I got to say, there's a common thread amongst the 3 drivers we had a chance to talk to: sportsmanship. It doesn't just come when the days are good. You have to be willing, able, and capable to handle the bad ones as well. Jared Schwartz did it for us at Daytona. Will Salisbury did it for us at Mid-Ohio. And now Carmine Caruso did it here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. To me, that is probably one of the biggest facets and aspects of the World Karting Association, is caliber and field of drivers and all the things that they learn outside of just racecraft, but being a part of a series, an organization, and obviously the race teams that are out there, the families that make this possible for these drivers and teams. There is a lot of praise that deserves to go all the way around, from whether it be the homes of these racers, the places where they came from on the racetrack, the series in which they took part in, because that is something that is oftentimes hard to teach. And I love the fact that we're able to get both sides of the coin, at least for the last 3 weeks we have, drivers who are able to have something to celebrate, and those who know that they had a bad day, but there are brighter days still to come. And I love the fact that we're able to bring that to everybody who's been watching.
It's great, because these drivers are racing for real prizes and racing for the title and the possibility to race in the road to Indy Series, and still they're able to maintain being very gracious even in when things don't go their way. So big props to them, and honestly I cannot wait for Indianapolis because it's going to be a nice end of the nice fitting way to end this short but very exciting season, and of course always great when we can crown a new champion.
So as you said, we got 1 race left to go. It'll be 1 week from tonight, approximately 8 p.m. Eastern Time at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here on Apex Racing TV. Essentially 2 tickets left up for grabs. Whoever wins that race is going to be in the 4th round of the Road to Indy E-Series presented by Cooper Tires. Whoever wins the championship will be in the season finale in that TireRack.com Road to Indy E-Series presented by Cooper Tires. So also the drivers, of course, racing for that Arrive and Drive package from A-Maxx Racing, and so much more. Again, for more information on this series, visit worldkarting.com. Additional thanks want to send it out to all of our presenting partners and sponsors, especially that of Summit Racing Equipment. Again, $25 gift cards going out to all the top 5 here tonight. Sunoco Race Fuels, who had awards for our pole sitter after their success here tonight as well. They're also throwing up additional prizes for our season champion. Rev Branding, who is going to now be sending $55, or $55 refund, that is, to tonight's winner in Jared Schwartz by virtue of his victory. We also have so many other people to thank. Casey Davis going home with $25 tonight, thanks to the Bennett family and their weekly random draw, and all the people who make this possible for the A-Maxx Racing Esports Series with the World Karting Association, presented by Summit Racing Equipment. But with that, on behalf of Marco Barbonera, everybody at Apex Racing TV, everybody at the World Karting Association, I'm Eric Brennan. We got an incredible season finale right around the corner at Indy. We hope to see you all back here next week. But till then, we will talk to you all soon. Good night, everybody.